Coach.
Okay. All right. Another important week for us. Got a team that's relatively local coming in, and the last few times has kind of had their way with this program. So we're excited about the opportunity to go out and compete against. I watch them on film. I think they're a good football team. I think they've got a lot of talent. I think they play hard. I think they've played some good teams. They've been in some tough games, and we'll certainly have our work cut out for us. And practiced well today, and that's what we have to continue to do. You know, I've said that some of the success we've had, and I think it's pretty limited success, quite frankly, has been rooted in the work that we've been doing and the attitude that we have and the attention to detail and creating the right mindset. So we just have to stay on that path, and I think it's going to be a great challenge. I really do. So I'm excited about it. I think our players are excited about it.
You're averaging like 37 points. What were your expectations of the offense coming into the season?
To play to our potential every game. I don't think we've done that yet. I don't even think we've come close yet. I think, you know, statistically it looks pretty good, but when you break it down and you look at the finer points and the details, we're not close to where we need to be yet to be more consistent. I think there's some lulls in our intensity. We're up and down a little bit too much. And so it's a constant quest, you know, to get better every week, every practice, every play of every practice, and that's what we're trying to focus on. But I didn't have any expectations numbers-wise. My expectations never changed, and that's, hey, max out every day. He was out there today. He was great. He looks good. He's in great spirits, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, so looks good. Price, he was working his tail off, so we'll see where he is on Saturday, you know. Shoot, I mean, he's, you know, if he's not there this week, I'll be surprised, and he'll be ready, you know, after the bye. But I mean, he's really looking good. He's really come along.
What about Joey?
Joey who?
Rosa.
Who?
I'm sorry, Victor Rosa.
Victor Rosa. Victor was with us in team periods, all practice today. He sees the doctor tomorrow, and he should be cleared and ready to go.
Jim, I know that you don't pay attention to the outside noise, but are you aware of the buzz all of a sudden? There's a lot more excitement about the program.
I don't really pay attention to it, so I can't really comment on it. It doesn't matter to us. The only way you, in athletics, it's critical that you don't listen to noise, because when you're doing well, everyone tells you how great you are, and when you're doing lousy, they tell you how shitty, crappy you are, and neither one of those things are true. And the only thing that matters is when we get in a room as a team, those people in that room, and that's what our focus is. So noise is just noise. We all know that in this world, at this point in this world, unfortunately, everyone just in the social media world, they want to build you up so they can just cut you back down. And so we don't pay attention to the noise.
With Nick, you want to take advantage of his running skills, but how are you going to balance that out with trying to get him healthy?
He needs to dive instead of slide. And that's what we do. We dive. I've talked to you guys about this before. You know, the first two times he ran it, he dove, he was fine. You slide. I think personally, and it won't happen, but if they wanted a guy that's coached football for 40-something years and been around it for his whole life, I would say that the NCAA should take a really hard look at outlawing quarterback sliding feet first. That's when they get hurt. You go watch Steve Young play, who was in the Hall of Fame. You go watch Mike Vick play. You watch some of those other guys that were running quarterbacks. They always dove. They always went head first. They got their head below the hit. They protected the ball that way, and they had their shoulder pads going first instead of an exposed upper body. So if the NCAA really wanted to protect quarterbacks, they'd outlaw the slide. We've outlawed the slide, and unfortunately, Nick decided to slide, and he took 2 hits when he slid, and he didn't get hits when he dove. So dive, don't slide. You know, do it the way you're coached, and you should be fine. But we're not going to not run him. I mean, that's a big part of our offense. So it's up to him to make sure that he dives.
I imagine sliding is probably something a lot of players were taught growing up. I guess how difficult and challenging is that to change a habit?
Well, I mean, you just got to create a new habit. You know, you got to work on it. You got to think about it, which we do. You know, but I think you're right. Sometimes guys revert. But to me, make it a rule. I mean, I don't understand why they continue to let quarterbacks slide. Not only do they put the quarterbacks in danger, but they make the game incredibly hard to play for the defense. and they make it incredibly hard to officiate. And you know, that's just an opinion based on 60 years of football life. I mean, who's going to listen to me, right?
What did you see in Gordy Samus when you picked him as your offensive coordinator? Was there certain things that he just talked to you about that you said, wow, he gets it?
Well, I mean, I'd been around him for over 2 years at that point, around 2 years at that point, right? And he just always impressed me as very, very intelligent, had a really great big picture awareness of the game, not just the run game. I mean, he has a clear understanding of the run game, great grasp of it, but just really football in general and the pass game and how to put a system together. And beyond that, just you watch him and how his group played. The offensive line. I came here and that was supposed to be one of the weaknesses, and it's turned into one of our strengths. And it's obviously because of the players, but it's also because of the way he's coached the players and the way they've responded to his coaching. So you think, wow, if he can do that with that group, can he do it with the entire group? And he on a number of occasions has spoken to the team. I always have the coaches talk to the team, but even nights before games, and usually the head coach stands up there and gives them the final words. There's been a number of times when I've asked Gordy to do it, just because he has a really good way about him that draws the players in and captures their attention. And so, you combine those factors, and it seemed like a really good fit. I think the outside perception sometimes when you hire an offensive line coach is, it's just, you're just going to run it and pound it, and a guy with a sweatshirt and whistle on like I am today. But he's very, 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 very intelligent, and he's creative. And I think the combination of him and the other guys on our staff and bringing in Brad Robbins, to help with the passing game is really helped us progress as an offense.
You knew Captain Mitchell would be tough to replace the linebacker, but how about the linebacker group as a whole and what they've done and how they've done this?
Well, I've been impressed with them. I've been impressed with Tui really for 2 years now. It's Tui started playing really well last year, and he's doing some good things. And then bringing in Jaden McDonald, I think, really helped us. He's a guy who's played a lot of football. This is his 6th year of college football. He's been in some good programs. Troy was an outstanding defense. You could see it on film that he loved football. And those guys have played well. They're capable of rushing. They're capable of dropping. They're good tacklers. And I think this scheme fits them. I think that this scheme plays into what they do well, which is kind of read and react and flow and then get downhill fast and pressure. We bring them a lot. We add them to the rush or add them aggressively into the run fit a lot, and I think that plays into their strengths. So I've been impressed with those two guys.
Obviously, Matt Brown's defense seems to be working at least the last couple of weeks, but watching the game back, I couldn't help but notice his intensity on the sideline. I guess having that sort of energy, what does that bring to the team? How much does the defense sort of take that, I guess?
Well, you don't get to see it, but this is where the defense meets, okay? This is that intensity you see on the field. It exists in this room when he's standing up here. And during practice, it's the same thing. And during meetings with the staff, it's the same thing. I mean, that's he's a grinder. I mean, he's intense. And he is incredibly demanding on those players, but he also feeds them confidence, and he's dead honest and truthful with them all the time. I mean, all the time, good or bad. And he's just got the trust of those guys. They respect him. I respect the heck out of him. I think he's an outstanding football coach. And I think that if the defense can continue to take on that identity, then good things will happen. But it's an everyday battle, man. You're just never there, and our guys have to understand that, and we're doing the best we can to make sure they understand that.
Was that personality what sort of made you want to bring him in here? Did you know that he was like that beforehand, or did you just hear his voice and you're like, all right?
I'd heard he was intense. The people that I'd talked to, I'd heard he was intense, and I liked that about him, but it was just getting to know him, mostly through phone calls and then a visit that, and Zoom calls and things like that. You just could sense it in him. You could sense how passionate he was about, football, how passionate he was about helping players reach their potential, how passionate he was about being the best that he could be. And then really, you know, it just he had a personality that I think is conducive to being a really good defensive football coach. Just an intensity that just is relentless.
When Army rushes for 4-3-3 against Temple, is that because that's who Army is? They run constantly, or do you see vulnerability there in Temple's run defense that you can?
We don't even watch that game because it's a different scheme. We don't watch Navy; it's a different scheme. You know, it doesn't. They're going to play a different defense against Army and Navy than they are against us. You know, Army and Navy they run the ball, and that's why I say their statistics are skewed. I mean, there's nothing we can learn from watching them play Army or Navy. Nothing, because it's a totally different scheme offensively, which forces them to play. Like when we played Army a couple of years ago, we didn't play one single defense that we'd ever played before or ever have played since. You know, that's what they force you to do. That's what the academies force you to do. And one of the reasons they're so successful is you got to learn something really quickly, and it's complex. You know, people say, "Oh, they just line up and run the ball," but it's a complex run system. So we're not able to get a lot out of that film.
Cam seems to come back pretty healthy and ready to go. I mean, how much does it make a difference to have him back in the lineup, just as that battering ram type?
It's big. It's big. You know, I mean, he's got a toughness about him that I think rubs off on a lot of us. And, you know, he's a little beat up because he's going to get a little beat up the way he runs. But being able to split the carries the way we did last week I think he had 10, and I think Darrell had 10, and Mel had 8, or maybe those two were flipped, but I know he had 10, and we were successful doing it. You know, in terms of just the longevity of the season, it's going to really help us because they all run hard, but Cam runs just Cam tries to run through people, you know, and I think our guys love that. You know, that hit he put on the guy on the sideline. I mean, you know, I'm not sure I didn't think that guy was going to get up. You know, to his credit, he did. But you know, Cam's trying to crush people, and I love that.
With the bye coming up next week, how good are your guys at staying focused day, and then when the game's over, then I'll worry about the bye.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we addressed that on Sunday, and I told them what the schedule would be like, and I said, get it fixed by Monday, figure out what it's going to be, and then it doesn't exist to us anymore. And I think that they've done a good job. I haven't heard anyone talking about it. I haven't had anyone ask me about it since we talked about it on Sunday. But I felt like it was really important to get it kind of, okay, this is what it's going to look like. This is what the week's going to look like. Okay, make the plans you need to make, and now we're on Temple. You know, we're on to Temple, and we need to be completely focused on Temple. I felt like from the practice today and the meetings that they were focused on Temple. They understand the challenge. You know, they understand the talent level that's coming in here. So they get it. They get it.
What do you like about the team's attitude and approach?
I like the way they work. I like their maturity. I like their consistency of effort every day in practice. I like how they don't seem satisfied at all. I like how they hold each other accountable, you know, to a certain standard, and that is just critical. No matter what, if you practice that way, if you think that way, you've got a chance. If you don't, you don't have a chance. You know, so it doesn't guarantee success, but it certainly gives you a chance, and that's what I like. There's a different level of maturity, and it's like, you know, we say it's all business, no bullshit, you know. And I know you probably can't print that or show it on TV, but that's kind of what I think about when I think it's all business, no bullshit. That doesn't mean they're not having fun, right, and enjoying it, but there's just not a lot of bullshitting around, and I appreciate that. I mean, he was out there, and he was freaking. He had a great demeanor to him, and you know, he just I don't know. He's excited to keep improving, you know, and that's fun to be around. You know, you just felt like an energy coming off him, like, hey man, I'm getting better. Every rep I take, I'm going to get better.
So he's good to go on Saturday.
I don't know that. I mean, we still have to get through Wednesday, Thursday, Friday practices. I don't know if anyone's good to go yet, you know. We still got a lot of hard physical work to do.
When you talk about the makeup of the team, you're very glowing in your comments about them, but yet you said your success so far is limited. Does the more success just mean better execution?
Yeah.
You have the right temperament?
Well, I think it means that we have to start a little bit with a little bit more intensity, maintain that, not have lulls in intensity during the game, and finish stronger. I think it means, you know, cutting out some of those second half penalties that I've talked about that hurt us. We certainly know that we have to be better in the red zone on offense. You know, we were 4 for 4 scoring in the red zone, but we were only 1 for 4 scoring touchdowns in the red zone on offense. So that's execution. That's things like that. And when I say execution, I'm not just talking about the players, right? Execution means the coaches putting in the right plays, you know, studying our opponent and getting us in the right stuff, calling the game right, coaching it right, all of those things, and then the players carrying it out on the field. So I just think there's a lot. I don't think we've come close to our potential yet. I just don't. And the only way we're going to reach our potential is to keep the pedal down and keep the pressure on and keep being demanding and keep holding each other accountable. That's the only way it works. It's the only way it works. And that's our intention. You know, that's our intention. That's what we're gonna keep emphasizing.
What stood out to you, kind of might be what you just said, but the way that this team has responded after wins, you know, to carry the FAU win into Buffalo. I guess what have you noticed about the way that this team is able to reset and get on to the next week?
Well, I think I'll go back to that maturity, you know, competitive maturity. It's like, you know, you said, it's like not getting caught up in the noise. We're 3-2. I mean, come on. I mean, that's nothing. That's just, we've won 3 games. Big deal, you know. And if we start thinking that that's something special, then failure will follow. And, you know, we just got to have the mindset that every game is its own entity, you know. Nothing we've done in the past matters, and nothing in the future matters. All that matters is the game we're preparing to play that week, and then we go out and play on Saturday. And I think that's how successful teams look at life. And so we just have to continue to emphasize that. And our players, in my opinion, right now seem to have and understand that attitude. But we have to have it every single second of every single day. And that's our, you know, that's our goal.
You talked about bringing in playmaking receivers and the good feeling of having those playmakers. Do you see other guys really coming along? Obviously, Skyler has looked outstanding. Everybody else's numbers in comparison are, you know.
What we do a good job of on offense is spreading it around a little bit. You know, now Skyler's had some tremendous games and made some great plays, but it's like kind of in the running game. You know, we spread it around. If you look at targets from Saturday, I think that the top 3 receivers all had, I think, 7 targets. You know, so that to me means we're spreading it around, we're throwing it to the right guy. But yeah, I see some guys on the practice field that are making real strides that are ready for some breakouts. You know, like Josiah Gathings. I mean, every day it's like, you know, game day for him out on the practice field. His intensity and his focus, and I think he's a guy that, you know, he can do some things. I think that Shamar Porter is a guy that can really do some things, you know. So, you know, I get excited about watching those guys in practice and watching them make plays and watching them practice with intensity and intent. And I know that because they are doing that, it's going to translate into them making plays on a Saturday. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a good afternoon.